So for today's experiment, or this module's experiment, we're going to be cleaning pennies. And so just a little bit of background before we get started. Pennies get dull over time, as we all know from the handfuls that we find in our cars and purses and things. They get dull because the copper in the penny slowly reacts with air to form copper oxide. Now, pure copper metal is bright and shiny, but the oxide is going to be dull and greenish, and that's what we see most of the time on our old dirty pennies. When pennies are placed in a salt and vinegar solution, the acetic acid from the vinegar is going to dissolve the copper oxide, leaving behind completely shiny, clean pennies. The copper from the copper oxide is also going to stay in that mixture in the liquid. We can also consider using other acids. So if we don't want to use vinegar, we could use lemon juice, orange juice, things like that, because they are also acidic. So what you need to complete this experiment is a handful of dirty pennies. So I have a bunch of those. Also a quarter of a cup of white vinegar. A glass bowl, and 1 teaspoon of salt, which I will measure with this, and I'm also going to use this plastic spoon to stir my mixture. Okay, so our actual procedures, we're going to pour our vinegar into the bowl. I'm going to just measure out a quarter of a cup of vinegar here. It might be a little more than a quarter cup, but that's okay. And then add the salt. This is just regular table salt. And then I'm going to stir my mixture. And you want to stir it until it's all dissolved and until this mixture should be completely clear. Then we're going to put our pennies in our mixture here. You can see them sitting in there. And I'm going to pause my video while I wait for these to clean just a bit, and then I will be right back. Okay, so as you can see, this is about 1.5 minutes in, and these are already looking a lot shinier than before. So if we wanted to, we could put these in water and the reaction will completely stop. However, the longer we leave the pennies in this mixture, the cleaner they're going to get. So what kind of happened here? Let's talk about that. If my mouse will work, because it's all wet. Okay. I'm trying to advance my slide and it's not working. Give me 1 second here. I just need to get to my next slide. Okay, so basically what happened here? So everything around us, of course, is made up of tiny particles that we know of called atoms. Some things are made up of just one kind of atom, like a penny, or the copper of a penny anyway, for example. So at times, atoms of different kinds are going to join to make molecules. So copper atoms will combine with oxygen atoms from the air to make copper oxide, which is what we started with. The pennies looked dull and dirty because they were covered in this copper oxide. However, copper oxide dissolved in a mixture of a weak acid. At this point we used, or in this example we used vinegar and table salt. Obviously removed the copper oxide and left us with just our copper pennies. Now, if we wanted to, we could have cleaned our pennies with salt and lemon juice or something like that, which I mentioned before, doesn't necessarily have to be vinegar. But if we take these pennies out and dry them off, immediately the air is going to start that process of creating copper oxide again. So it's kind of a vicious cycle. That's why normally all of our pennies are dirty. So thank you.